I'd busted my ass in New York for 2 years to build a family and a stable life for myself. I truly thought I'd finally climbed out of the ordinary grind, until the very day I stepped back on this soil and realized I'd been the punchline of an elaborate lie all along. The cold wind hit me sharp and harsh as I walked out of JFK Airport, tangled with the messy street vibe of New York. I dragged a scuffed black rolling suitcase, its shell covered in travel scratches. Inside were the niche skincare products my wife Su Ching had begged me to bring back, imported baby snacks for the kids, and a thick stack of cash I'd saved over 6 months. It was all I owned after spending half a month back home, and it was supposed to be my safety net. My name's Chen Wang. I'm 30 years old, a country boy through and through. No college degree, no special skills. The only thing I've ever known how to do is endure hard work. 2 years ago, a group of villagers signed up for construction day jobs in New York. The pay was triple what I could make back home, so I took the leap. I left my rundown rural house and threw myself into the bottom-tier construction hustle of New York City. Those 2 years weren't just hard, they were pure survival. I lived in a makeshift metal dorm on the construction site, crammed with 5 other guys. Sweltering and airless in the summer, drafty and freezing in the winter. I started work at 5 every morning, climbing rusted scaffolding, hauling steel bars, laying brick, clearing construction waste. My palms were covered in calluses that split open, scabbed over, and hardened again until I could barely feel pain. For lunch, I always ate the cheapest boxed meal, stale rice, bland greens, never once splurging for extra meat. I wasn't chasing money for the sake of money. I just desperately wanted a real, stable home. I've always been quiet, awkward with words, the invisible guy back in my hometown. While everyone my age had already settled down, married and had kids, I'd hit 30 with no house, no car, no savings. No one willing to take a chance on me. I thought I'd end up alone for life, until a fellow overseas villager introduced me to Su Ching. Su Ching was 2 years younger than me. She had a soft, gentle face and a mild, polite way of speaking. Right after we met, she told me straight out she didn't care that I was poor, that I worked overseas year-round. All she wanted was someone steady and sincere. For the first time in my life, someone saw value in me. In that moment, I swore I'd spend every ounce of my strength to take care of this woman and build her a solid home. We had no fancy wedding, no expensive betrothal gifts. We just had a simple meal with family and called ourselves husband and wife. After marriage, Su Ching was endlessly docile. She never threw tantrums, never complained about our long-distance life or my endless work trips abroad. While I killed myself working in New York, she ran our household back home perfectly. In less than 2 years, she gave birth to a son and a daughter, the perfect pair everyone envied. Our oldest boy was a year and a half old, our baby girl just 100 days. Chubby, well-behaved, they always called for me sweetly through video calls. Every fellow worker, every relative back home said I was the luckiest guy alive. They said I must have done something incredible in my past life to marry someone as gentle, sensible, and devoted as Su Ching, a woman who wanted no luxury, who stayed loyal and raised my kids while I worked abroad. I believed it too. Wholeheartedly. For 2 years, I lived like a monk. I quit smoking, drinking, gambling, every small indulgence. While my coworkers went out for dinners and weekends in the city, I stayed cooped up in the dorm, resting, listening to old Chinese ballads, or staring at photos of my wife and kids on my phone. Every dollar I earned, minus the bare minimum for food and rent, went straight to Su Ching. I always told myself she had it harder, raising 2 kids alone. I deserved every bit of hardship if it meant she and the kids lived comfortably. No sacrifice was too big for my family. Half a month ago, the construction site paused for maintenance, and I took 2 months of saved vacation to rush home. Those 2 weeks were the happiest, most peaceful days of my entire 2 years abroad. I'd walk through the door to a spotless house. Su Ching would greet me with a smile, take my luggage, and wipe the travel dust off my face. My kids would tackle me, clinging to my arms, calling daddy over and over. Warm home-cooked meals waited on the table. No fights, no complaints, just pure, quiet domestic bliss. Back then, I was certain every late night, every blister, every mile away from home was worth it. But vacation ended fast. The site schedule waited for no one, and I had to head back to New York. On my departure morning, before sunrise, Su Ching got up early to pack my bags. She reminded me over and over to stay safe, not to overwork myself, to eat on time. She stood at the village entrance holding our daughter and walking our son, watching me leave with soft, sorrowful eyes. My heart felt warm and tight all at once. I made myself a promise, a few more years of saving, a few more years of grinding, and I'd come home for good. No more long distance. I'd stay with my wife and kids forever. I never knew that tender, heartfelt goodbye was nothing but a performance, staged just for me. It was 6 p.m. in New York. The sky dimmed, and neon signs blazed across the streets, bright enough to blind. But that glittering city never belonged to people like us, blue-collar immigrants scraping by. A bitter night wind cut through me, chilling me straight to the bone as I walked out of the airport terminal. I pulled out my phone, ready to text Su Qing that I'd landed safely, just like I always did. Every single time before, she'd reply in seconds, soft and reassuring, calming all my restlessness from traveling. But before I could hit send, an unfamiliar local New York number popped up on my screen, ringing out of nowhere. I froze. I barely knew anyone in New York besides my construction crew and village acquaintances. I had every single one of their numbers saved. This one was a complete stranger. After a second of hesitation, I answered. The line was unnervingly quiet for 3 full seconds. Then a cold, unfamiliar female voice spoke. No small talk, no greeting, just sharp, cutting words. "You're Chen Wang, right? Just got back from China." My nerves tightened instantly. "Yeah. Who's this?" She let out a humorless, mocking laugh that sent chills down my spine. "Doesn't matter who I am. Tell me something. Did you just go home to see your wife and kids? All ready to come back here and work your fingers to the bone for them again?" My grip tightened on my phone. "What do you want? Spit it out." She ignored my question and dropped a sentence that shattered every truth I'd lived by for 2 years, light and casual as could be, but deadly cold. "Don't be a fool, Chen Wang. That wife, those kids, that perfect little family you've been breaking your back for? None of it's yours. The home you've been funding for 2 years belongs to someone else." My mind went completely blank. The traffic noise, the crowd chatter, the city hum, everything vanished. I stood frozen on the sidewalk, my fingers trembling around my phone, my breath catching in my throat. My first thought was scam. A prank. Some coworker messing with me for fun. "You're talking nonsense." I gritted out. "My wife and kids are fine at home. You've got the wrong number. Stop messing with me or I'll hang up." The woman remained calm, utterly unfazed, like she knew every detail of my life. "You'll see I'm not lying. You think Su Qing's been at home faithfully raising your kids, waiting for you? You think all that sweetness and obedience was real? Let me spell it out for you. That devoted, perfect wife you see? It's all an act. Every penny you slave away for here in New York? You're funding her scam. Your entire family life is nothing but a show she put on just for you." Each word landed like a boulder slamming into my chest, heavy and suffocating. I refused to believe it. I couldn't believe it. Memories flashed through my mind in a rush. Su Qing's gentle tone, my kids clinging to me, the warm peace of my home. Was every single precious thing I'd cherished fake? I forced myself to stay calm, my voice tight with anger and panic. "Who are you exactly? Trying to ruin my marriage? My wife's not that kind of person." She didn't argue. She just left me with a final, unshakable warning. "Don't rush to deny it. Watch closely, think back. In 3 days max, you'll know the whole truth yourself. And stop sending her every cent you earn. Your hard-earned blood and sweat money's paying for someone else's luxury life." The call cut dead. I stared at my dark phone screen, numb and rigid on the crowded street. The neon lights still glowed bright, people still hurried past, but my whole world had changed in an instant. 2 years of back-breaking work, 2 years of extreme frugality, 2 years of devoting everything to a future family, all of it was tainted by that one strange call. I kept telling myself it was a hoax, a malicious prank, that Su Qing would never lie to me, that my family was real. But the harder I tried to convince myself, the more tiny, overlooked inconsistencies resurfaced in my memory. I realized, in those 2 years, I'd never truly known my wife at all. She was always perfect, always gentle, always understanding, never flawed. But a person with 0 flaws is always hiding something. The New York night wind grew colder, seeping into my bones. I knew the peaceful, perfect life I'd clung to had cracked open. And beneath that crack lay a cruel truth I was terrified to uncover.